everybody, welcome back to Q-Tips. We are the Video Store Junkies, and we are here to give you a few recommendations to watch on streaming over the weekend. And we're going to jump right into it like we always do, and I'm going to hand this over to Bill.
Oh, hey. So let's see. I have a little under the gun today, but my first one is a Netflix miniseries, a documentary. And although it's really well made and good and everything, I for the life of me, I'm not sure why they did it. It's Murdaugh Murders: A Southern Scandal, and it's about this insane family down in South Carolina, a very influential, successful lawyer, one of the wealthy families in town. Kids are spoiled rotten, drink like fishes, get away with murder, apparently, literally. And all kinds of bad things happen. And kind of like Tiger King, just when you think, well, okay, I see why they did this. This is pretty awful. It's like, whoa, settle down, cowboy. Get some popcorn because we're just beginning. It's got a lot of twists and turns, although I don't know if really twist is the proper thing because it's really kind of a straight line to hell. This guy Alex Murdaugh, it's just absolutely amazing. His kids are horrible. Everyone in this family is horrible, and horrible things happen. But here's the thing, and like I say, it's really well made. It's got the documentary thing down pat. They know how to make these now. But the problem with it is this is still ongoing. In fact, literally today, the prosecutors are starting to wrap up their trial of the main character. They made this documentary while we don't know what the ending is. I got a pretty good idea of what the ending is because he went on the stand, and it's kind of hard to imagine anyone who did a worse job on the stand than this guy. I mean, compared to him, Amber Heard was like Sir Thomas More. This guy should never have been allowed anywhere near the stand. But who knows? Jurors can be stupid. Maybe they'll be like, he can't be guilty. A guilty man wouldn't be that obviously guilty. Who knows how they think? But I suspect he's going to jail for a long time, and then an eternity in hell. So but we don't have that. It's just the show ends and it's like he's on trial right now. In fact, you could turn on Court TV and Nancy Grace will be filling you in on days. Like, guys, could you just have held your horses for just a couple more weeks? But I know what they're going to do is they're going to do the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an unsatisfying third act. It's got a great build-up, and they just jumped the gun. But it's on Netflix, needless to say. Murdaugh Murders: A Southern Scandal. And if you're married to someone who devours true crime the way some of us are, you'll probably end up watching this. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I will hand this off to Paul.
Don't you mean Pawpaw?
Pawpaw? Oh,
Pawpaw?
All right, I'm sorry. So I'm familiar with this story. So the son's name is Paul Murdaugh, and during the trial, the father kept calling him Pawpaw.
Pawpaw is Pawpaw the one who ended up? They went into graphic detail about, spoiler alert, his death, and apparently whoever shot him with a shotgun performed some kind of shotgun surgery. Because they're saying his face was intact, but his brains were next to the body. And I'm like,
Yikes.
How? How do you do that?
I think they said they were like by his feet or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah. That's gross.
Oh, no. So, Paul, you got a family picture to pick us up? Yeah? Kids flick, maybe?
Yeah. You know what? Here, this will pick you up. My theme this week is Andrew Garfield's Under Things.
Wow.
So... Well, it's Andrew Garfield is under things. Sorry, I guess I should have put it, should have enunciated. So the first thing he is Under the Silver Lake from 2018, currently playing on Fubo, Canopy, DirecTV, and Showtime, which Showtime soon will be rolled into Paramount Plus after they jack up the price. And it stars Andrew Garfield and Riley. Is it Riley Keough? Is that how you pronounce her name?
Mm-hmm.
And it is written and directed by David Robert Mitchell, who was the guy who did It Follows. And it is sort of a neo-noir, kind of a thriller, kind of a comedy, kind of very bizarre. It absolutely tanked at the box office. I think it went to like VOD 3 days after it was in the theater. It was, but it has quite a following. In it, Andrew Garfield is kind of a slacker who, is not paying his rent and not really going anywhere in life, and he basically sees his neighbor, played by Riley Keough, across the way, and they almost hook up that evening. The next morning, he wakes up and her apartment is just cleared out. It's just empty, and he's trying to figure out what happened to her. And he's kind of real partial to conspiracy theories, and starts going down the rabbit hole and deeper rabbit holes and weird shit, and all sorts of weird codes and things like this. And it's pretty fun. I to be honest, I think it's been a while since I've seen it, but I seem to remember it really kind of, it reveals too much, I think, of the mystery almost, but it's kind of fun. But apparently, there are a lot of actual codes in the film. It had a cryptography consultant who helped with it. In fact, this guy, of course, my tabs all closed when everything crashed. But there was this 260 years ago, there was this weird manuscript called the Copiale, Copiale cipher. It was 105 pages. No one could decipher it 260 years. This guy used a computer in 2011 and actually was able to decipher it. And this is in real life. And then they used him as a consultant on this film because they used the cipher in it. They have all sorts of codes, and there's all sorts of really weird codes that lead to further codes to things like this. And apparently for a while there was even a Reddit community that was dedicated to like deciphering all the shit going on, until I think they got banned because they had no moderation. But anyway, it's fun to watch, and apparently, like I said, some people have really just gone down the rabbit hole with this. But again, that's Under the Silver Lake, 2018, starring Andrew Garfield. And speaking of Andrew Garfield's Under Things, I'll pass this to Renee.
So my first recommendation is a fun little anthology film, and so I have to tell you, I really enjoyed this movie. It had some really kind of interesting stories. They held my attention, which has been pretty nice. As of late, there's just been so many bad movies. Anyway, this movie is called Nightmare Cinema. It's from 2019, and I am just going to read a little something from the synopsis of this movie because it's going to describe it a lot better than I ever could. A series of down-on-their-luck individuals enter the decrepit and spine-chilling Rialto Theater, only to have their deepest and darkest fears brought to life on the silver screen by the projectionist, a mysterious, ghostly figure who holds the nightmarish futures of all who attend his screenings. And fun fact, guess who plays the projectionist? It's not Gary Busey. It's Mickey Rourke.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's a 2019 Mickey Rourke, mind you.
That would be pretty scary.
Yeah, so the ghostly, mysterious Mickey Rourke. Yeah, but I honestly, this movie was actually good. I was not expecting it to be kind of as good as it was. But yeah, I enjoyed it. And you can watch that where else but Tubi.
Or not to be.
And yeah, so I'll pass this back over to Bill.
Okay, well, watching these goobers, one of the things that gets me about the Murdaugh murders is you want it to be an upper crust family with dark secrets that they keep hidden beneath their classy exterior. But no, these just seem like the Beverly Hillbillies, like they stumbled onto a gold mine while they were, digging up skunk cabbage for lunch or something. I mean, they're just awful. There is something about real good Southern Gothic stuff, Just nowadays, Southern Gothic doesn't mean a whole lot, but there was a time when we didn't have air conditioning and it was just, the weeds take over and you got Spanish moss and everything just so that the swamp is waiting to just grab everything again. It's just a great location. And one of my favorites from that time in glorious black and white. Boy, does blood look good in black and white. is Hush Hush, Sweet Charlotte. This
Hmm.
was not a sequel, but sort of a follow up to Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. They were both directed by Robert Aldrich, who doesn't really get the credit that I think he deserves for being one of our great filmmakers. Because when you look at the list of things he did, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte, one of my all time favorites, Kiss Me Deadly, The Dirty Dozen, The Longest Yard was probably his last big success. I mean, these films don't have a whole lot in common except that they were good and made a lot of money. You know, but I don't you don't he doesn't get the credit that a lot of other good directors did. This this movie opens up with Bruce Dern getting his hand chopped off in close up, and then his head cut off, and it rolls down the stairs. And Betty Davis has blood all over. So Betty Davis is this old Betty Davis, and she's living in this mansion. Everyone thinks that she killed Bruce Dern back in the day, though she never went to jail. Her dad, played by, oh man, now I can't remember who it was, but it was perfect in the role. I'm drawing a blank, but he took care of everything. And this one's got Joan. Well, okay, so it was going to be Joan Crawford, and they hated each other. Boy, do they hate each other, which would have been perfect for this movie because it's they're supposed to hate each other. But
Mhm.
she quit, got fired a few weeks into it, and they talked Olivia de Havilland to coming in and taking over, and she does a great job too. But I just would have been so much fun with Joan. And you got
Mm.
Agnes Moorehead, who is chewing up the scenery like you can't believe. And this is a movie with old Betty Davis, so that's saying something. It's great. Oh, Joseph Cotton. Yeah, I mean, classic old Hollywood in this wonderful, wonderful movie. Just very gothic, very cool. They don't make them like that anymore. So this is on Hoopla. That's where you can see it for free. I think you can rent it other places, but the whole hag exploitation, cruel, I know, but that's what they called it. That whole genre,
Yes.
yielded some real some real nuggets of gold there. But I'd say the high point was probably the originals, Baby Jane and Sweet Charlotte, and it was hard to beat that 1-2 punch. So I will send this over to our own sweet Paul.
Why, thank you, Bill. My second film actually would have been a better follow up to your first film, but
Ah,
that was the order I had him down in because mine is actually based on a true crime.
hmm.
This time we're talking about Andrew Garfield's under things. This time he's under the Banner of Heaven from 2022, currently playing on Hulu. It's a 7-episode miniseries based on the book of the same name by John Krakauer, which is a true crime story about murder in Utah tied to a sect or sects of the um, of the Mormon Church, and it's written and directed by Dustin Lane Black, who who actually was a Mormon at one point, and it's so you have Andrew Garfield plays a police detective who's investigating a pretty horrendous double murder, and he's very big into the church. He's very member of the Latter-day Saints. In fact, most of the people in the town are. But he starts delving into it and finding out things he didn't really like, things about the church's past, things about some people who are trying to embrace this church's past. It's really well done. It's really good. It's kind of neat because they do kind of parallel some of the things going on with some of the things in. They have some recreations, some stuff of the of Joseph Smith and things like this. It's really good. It's really interesting. And actually, my mom was the one who introduced me to this one. So it's called Under the Banner of Heaven. It's 7 episodes on Hulu, and there you go. And speaking of people who are into the fundamentalist churches and weird things like this, I don't know, something. Renee,
You know her so well.
Yes, it's true. And that will be emphasized by my next recommendation, which is Killer Rack.
yay!
Wow.
Oh,
This movie, this movie is Well, you know what? Honestly, I think we should have not slept on this one. This movie is so silly, but it's smart. Smarter than you would think. Okay, so the movie is about this girl who has been tormented and ridiculed her whole life because of the size of her chest. And she's finally she's had it, she's over it, she's going to see a surgeon about this. But little does she know, her surgeon worships the Lovecraftian elder gods.
Ah,
And she and there is a plot underway to take over the world. And I'll just have you know that this movie is really not that trashy. There are no actual boobs, like real life boobs in this movie.
wow, that
So,
seems a little dishonest.
yeah, yeah. There are some great prosthetic boobies, and they're pretty convincing, but they're not. I mean, but believe what you want. I mean, if you want to think they're real, that's fine. Anyway, this movie is called Killer Rack, and it is available on Tubi.
Shall we be disappointed that we didn't we didn't pursue this one earlier then?
I'll watch it again if you guys want to watch it over this weekend.
Okay.
So, anybody got anything to sing us out with?
Why I do, unless you guys have something.
No?
So this is kind of related to my picks. So I'll just kind of launch into it.
Mm.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garfield and friends. We're ready to party. We're ready to party. We're ready. I hope you bring lots of spaghetti. Come on in, come to the place where fun never ends. Come on in, it's time to party with Garfield and friends. Garfield and friends.
For the weekend of March 3rd, Bill recommended The Murdaugh Murders, A Southern Scandal, available on Netflix, and Hush Hush, Sweet Charlotte, available on Hoopla. Paul recommended Under the Silver Lake, available on Fubo, Canopy, Hoopla, and Showtime, and Under the Banner of Heaven, available on Hulu and DirecTV. I recommended Nightmare Cinema, available on Tubi, and Killer Rack, also available on Tubi.
See, because Andrew Garfield was in the movies I read.
Oh.
I look, what can I say? They all can't be all-star.
Well, I gotta tell you, anytime that you don't sing All Star, I kind of wait.
Yeah,
the
I just,
whole
yeah,
song
here
for
it
you to
comes
start
any minute
singing.
now.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, okay, it didn't happen. All right,
Can't do it
Yeah.
every week. Because then,
it's true. It's true. I think it's the only song we don't get demonetized for anymore. No, I'm just kidding. like we were getting monetized anyway. Jokes on us.